The lunar surface stretched endlessly outside the reinforced windows of Research Station Gagarin. Do-yoon Kim stood in the observation room, watching the test chamber below, with tired eyes. He had not slept properly in 3 days. His team had been working around the clock, making adjustments to equipment that should not exist according to Galactic Council law. 40 years ago, humanity had joined the Council with hope and excitement. They thought they would learn from advanced alien species and take their place among the stars. Instead, they received restrictions: no faster-than-light engines, no energy weapons beyond basic plasma tools, no artificial intelligence above simple automation, and most importantly, no teleportation technology. The Council said these rules kept the galaxy stable and peaceful. Do-yoon had stopped believing that lie 5 years ago when he started reading between the lines of Council technical documents. The restrictions were not about safety. They were about control. The 5 elder species that ruled the Council wanted to keep younger species weak and dependent. Hana Lee entered the observation room carrying 2 cups of coffee. She was the military liaison assigned to watch Do-yoon's team. The Earth Defense Force had sent her to make sure the research stayed within Council regulations. Instead, she had become the project's strongest supporter. "Are we ready?" she asked, handing him a cup. "The calculations say yes," Do-yoon replied. Reality might disagree. Below them, Ji-won Park moved around the test chamber making final checks. The chief engineer had designed most of the equipment herself, often working from principles that had nothing to do with Council-approved science. She liked to say that humanity's greatest advantage was that they thought differently than species who had been following the same technological paths for thousands of years. The test object sat on Platform A. A simple metal cube, 1 meter on each side, marked with identification numbers. Platform B waited 50,000 kilometers away on the far side of the moon. If the test worked, the cube would disappear from Platform A and appear instantly on Platform B. Teleportation. The Council had executed 3 species for attempting to develop it. They claimed the technology was too dangerous, that it could destroy space-time itself if used incorrectly. Do-yoon believed the real reason was simpler. Teleportation meant instant travel and instant communication across any distance. It meant no species could be isolated or controlled. "Beginning power-up sequence," Ji-won announced through the intercom. The chamber hummed as massive capacitors charged. The sound reminded Do-yoon of Earth's railgun defense platforms, and that was not a coincidence. His breakthrough had come from studying railgun magnetic acceleration systems. Humanity had been allowed to keep kinetic weapons because the Council considered them primitive, bullets and metal slugs instead of energy beams. The Council's arrogance had become their weakness. Minho Choi joined them in the observation room. The communications officer looked nervous, constantly glancing at the monitoring equipment that tracked Council surveillance satellites. Those satellites watched Earth and its orbital space constantly, scanning for prohibited technology signatures. "The satellites are in normal patrol mode," Minho reported. "They are not paying special attention to us." "Not yet," Hana said quietly. Do-yoon understood what she meant. The moment they activated the teleporter, those satellites might detect something unusual. Council response teams could arrive within hours. Everything they had worked for could end before it truly began. "We could wait," Do-yoon said, though he did not want to. "Run more simulations." "Make absolutely certain." Hana shook her head. "We have been running simulations for 2 years. The math is solid. The equipment is ready. We either do this now, or we spend the rest of our lives wondering what could have been." She was right. Do-yoon touched the intercom button. "Ji-won. Proceed with the test. Confirmed. Beginning teleportation sequence in 30 seconds. The room fell silent except for the increasing hum of the capacitors. Do-yoon watched the readings on his display. Power levels, climbing. Magnetic field, alignment, perfect. Quantum entanglement locked between the 2 platforms. 10 seconds, Ji-won's voice announced. Do-yoon thought about his grandfather who had been alive when humanity first met alien species. The old man had told stories about the excitement of that time. the belief that humans would explore the galaxy as equals. Instead, they had been given a cage and told it was for their own good. 5 seconds. The hum became a roar. Space around Platform A began to shimmer, reality itself bending under the focused magnetic and quantum forces. Activation. The metal cube vanished, not faded or dissolved. It simply stopped existing on Platform A. For one heartbeat, Do-Yun feared they had destroyed it, scattered its atoms across space. Then Ji-won's triumphant shout came through the speakers. Platform B confirms arrival. The cube is here. Hana grabbed Do-Yun's shoulder, her grip tight with emotion. Minho was laughing and crying at the same time. Do-Yun felt his own eyes burning with tears. They had done it. Humanity had broken through the Council's technological prison. Run it again, Do-Yun ordered, forcing himself to think clearly. Send the cube back to Platform A. Then, do it 10 more times. I want to be absolutely certain this is not luck. Over the next 3 hours, they teleported the cube back and forth 20 times. Then they teleported different objects. Different sizes, different materials, different distances. Every test succeeded perfectly. Finally, Hana called them all together in the observation room. Ji-won came up from the test chamber, her face glowing with excitement. Minho brought his monitoring equipment. Still watching the Council satellites. We need to talk about what happens next, Hana said. Her military training showed now, turning excitement into focused planning. The moment we reveal this technology, the Council will respond. They will not negotiate or offer us a deal. They will try to destroy us. Maybe we should not reveal it, Minho suggested. We could develop it in secret. Build up our capabilities before they know what we have. Ji-won shook her head. Those satellites will eventually detect anomalous readings. We might have weeks or maybe months. But they will find out. Then we need to blind them first, Hana said. She pulled up a tactical display, showing the 17 Council monitoring satellites around Earth and Luna. Our railgun platforms can destroy all of them simultaneously if we coordinate the strike properly. Before the Council knows what is happening, their eyes will be closed. Do-Yun felt ice run through his chest. You are talking about an act of war. No, Hana replied. The Council declared war on humanity's potential 40 years ago when they put chains on us. We are just now fighting back. They have thousands of worlds, Minho said quietly. Millions of ships. If we do this, if we start a war, we might lose everything. We have already lost, Ji-won said with surprising passion. We lost the chance to develop naturally. We lost the opportunity to explore freely. We lost our future because the Council decided we were too dangerous to let grow. At least now we can fight for it back. Do-Yun looked at each of them, seeing the determination in their faces. He thought about humanity spreading across the stars, not as the Council's pets, but as equals. Or, perhaps more than equals. The Council species had grown comfortable with their technology. Humanity was still learning, still innovating, still hungry. If we do this, Do-Yun said slowly, there is no going back. We will be making enemies of the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. Hana met his eyes. They kept us in chains because they feared what we would become. It is time to show them they were right to be afraid. Do-Yun looked out at the lunar landscape one more time, thinking about Earth hanging in the black sky above them. His homeworld, where 8 billion people lived under Council restrictions without even fully realizing it. His decision here would affect every one of them. He turned back to his team. Ji-won, calculate firing solutions for all 17 satellites. Minho, quote, prepare a secure message to Earth Defense Command. Tell them what we have achieved and what we need them to do. And you? Hana asked. I am going to teleport something much more interesting than a metal cube, Do-Yun said with a cold smile. I am going to show the Council that their worst fear has come true. Humanity is no longer asking for permission. Commander Sun Ho Baek stood on the bridge of the EDS Indomitable, Earth's largest warship, and watched 17 targeting solutions appear on his tactical display. Each one represented a council monitoring satellite. Each one represented humanity's first strike against their masters. All railgun platforms report ready, his weapons officer announced. Firing solutions locked. Projectiles will reach targets within 40 seconds of launch, due to distance variations. Sun Ho had been a military officer for 20 years. He had fought pirates and smugglers. He had defended Earth from rogue asteroids. He had never imagined he would be giving orders to attack the Galactic Council. But when the message came from Lunar Station Gagarin, when he learned what Do-Yoon Kim's team had achieved, he knew this moment was inevitable. Fleet synchronization check, Sun Ho ordered. All platforms synchronized, the officer confirmed. Firing in 30 seconds on your mark. Sun Ho thought about the consequences. The Council would call this terrorism, rebellion, an act of war by a primitive species that did not understand the bigger picture. They would send their fleets to punish Earth, to show other species what happened when you broke Council law. Let them come, Sun Ho thought. Let them see what humanity has become in the 40 years they kept us leashed. Fire, he ordered. Across Earth's orbital space, magnetic accelerators launched kinetic projectiles at a fraction of the speed of light. The railgun platforms had been humanity's primary defense system, approved by the Council because they were primitive technology. No energy weapons, no exotic particles, just magnetically accelerated metal traveling at devastating velocities. The Council had no idea how advanced Earth's railgun technology had become. Sun Ho watched the tactical display as the projectiles reached their targets. 17 satellites, 17 impacts within a span of 40 seconds. The satellites were destroyed so quickly, their automated systems never had time to transmit emergency signals. Earth had just gone dark from the Council's perspective. All targets destroyed, the weapons officer reported, unable to hide his satisfaction. Council monitoring network is offline. Entity, that's something the morning second. That's supporting the purdity. Gavinited, with the nominotypes about. That's something the weapons of these in work. Entity, entities in. With a console monitoring network. Communications, send the signal to Mars Station, Sun Ho ordered. Tell Yuna Song she is cleared for operation. On the Council Embassy Station orbiting Mars, Yuna Song checked her equipment one final time. She led a team of 12 special operations soldiers, the best Earth had produced. Each wore combat armor and carried weapons designed for zero-gravity combat. Each had trained for this mission for 6 months, ever since Do-Yoon's team had achieved stable teleportation at 50,000 kilometers. Today, they would test teleportation at much greater range. Mars was 80 million kilometers from Earth currently. Platform is active. Jiwon Park's voice came through Yuna's earpiece from Lunar Station Gagarin. Quantum entanglement locked. We are ready for transport on your mark. Yuna looked at her team. Most of them were young, volunteers who believed humanity deserved better than Council restrictions. Some looked nervous. Others looked eager. All of them looked determined. This is a one-way trip until we secure the station, Yuna reminded them. Once we are there, we hold position until reinforcements arrive. The Council has 4 ambassadors on that station plus their staff, approximately 40 individuals total. We take them alive if possible. We need them as leverage. Rules of engagement? One of her soldiers asked. Minimal force unless threatened. Remember, we are not murderers. We are liberators. Yuna activated her comm. Jiwon, send us to Mars. The sensation was like nothing Yuna had trained for. Reality twisted. For one impossible moment, she existed in 2 places simultaneously. Then she stood in the Council Embassy Station's main corridor, her team materializing around her. Alarms immediately began shrieking. The station's sensors had detected their impossible arrival. Move, Yuna ordered. Her team spread through the station with practiced efficiency. The council staff were not warriors. Most were diplomats and administrators. Some tried to reach panic buttons. Others simply froze in shock, staring at the armed humans who had appeared from nowhere. Within 10 minutes, Yuna's team had secured the entire station. The 4 council ambassadors sat in the main conference room under guard. They represented 4 different species, each from worlds that were council members long before Earth had even developed spaceflight. Ambassador Talvik, the Vroxian representative, stared at Yuna with 3 of his eyes, while the 4th tracked her soldiers. "This is an act of war. Your species will be sterilized for this violation." "Your species said the same thing to the Kelthans 80 years ago," Yuna replied calmly. "And the Meridians before that, and 6 other species before them. You always threaten sterilization. You never explain why you get to decide which species can develop which technologies. You do not understand the dangers," Ambassador Heshra said. The Quilon diplomat's translator made her whistling speech into flat human words. "Teleportation technology can tear holes in space-time. We restrict it for everyone's safety." Yuna smiled without humor. "We have been teleporting objects for 6 months. We teleported ourselves 80 million kilometers just now. Space-time seems fine. Your lies are wearing thin." On Earth, in a secure government facility in Geneva, Taejin An watched the news feeds with growing horror. As humanity's ambassador to the Council, he had spent 15 years building relationships with Council species, trying to earn humanity a better position through diplomacy and patience. Now his life's work was ashes. He demanded an emergency meeting with Hana Lee and Do-Yoon Kim, who had returned to Earth to brief the government. They met him in a conference room with President Cheon-oh present. "You have doomed us," Taejin said without preamble. "The Council controls thousands of worlds. Their fleets number in the millions. What do we have? A few hundred ships and 1 space station under siege? We have something better," Do-Yoon replied. "We have technology they never expected us to develop, and the will to use it." "Technology," Taejin laughed bitterly. "They have had teleportation for centuries and restricted it. You think your version is superior?" "Taejin, they restricted it because they never solved the power requirements," Hana said. She pulled up technical displays. "Council teleportation requires massive energy inputs and dedicated facilities. They can move cargo between fixed stations but not much else. Our system is different. We combined railgun magnetic field manipulation with quantum entanglement. We can teleport anywhere we can establish quantum coordinates, and our power requirements are 10% of Council systems." Taejin stared at the data. Despite his anger, he could not ignore the implications. "You can teleport military assets anywhere?" "Anywhere in the solar system currently," Do-Yoon confirmed. "We are working on interstellar range." President Cheon-oh spoke for the first time. "Ambassador An, I understand your concerns. You have worked for peace. But the Council's peace was bought with our chains. They decided 40 years ago that humanity was too dangerous, too unpredictable, too innovative. They were right. We are dangerous to their control. They will send fleets," Taejin warned. "They will bombard Earth from orbit." "Let them send fleets," Hana said coldly. "We will show them what happens when they underestimate humanity." The Council received word of the satellite destruction and embassy capture 6 hours later, when a scheduled check-in from Mars station went unanswered. Investigation drones found the satellite debris. Attempts to contact the embassy failed. Supreme Chancellor Vothik of the Corvian species called an emergency session. The 5 elder species gathered in holographic conference, each representative's image projected across light years of space. "This is an unprecedented provocation," Vothik declared. "The humans have destroyed Council property and taken ambassadors hostage. They must be brought to heel immediately." "How did they even reach the Mars station?" Councilmember Prestic asked. "Humans do not have faster-than-light travel." "Unknown," Vothik admitted. "But regardless of method, the response must be overwhelming. I propose we send the 7th Fleet to Earth." blockade their homeworld, demand complete surrender and dismantling of all military assets. The other council members agreed. The 7th Fleet, 3,000 warships strong, received orders to proceed to Earth at maximum speed. They would arrive in 2 weeks. But before the fleet could depart, every council communication channel received a broadcast. Minho Choi's face appeared. Speaking from Lunar Station Gagarin, "People of the Galactic Council," he began. "For 40 years, humanity has been your subordinate. You restricted our development. You limited our technology. You told us it was for our safety and the galaxy's stability. We accepted this because we were young and naive, and grateful to be part of your great civilization." Minho paused, letting his words sink in across thousands of worlds. "We are not naive anymore. We have achieved what you said was impossible. We have developed technology you claimed was too dangerous for any species, and we have proven that your restrictions were never about safety. They were about control." The broadcast shifted, showing the interior of the Mars Embassy Station. The 4 council ambassadors sat visible in the background, alive, but clearly captive. "We have not harmed your ambassadors," Minho continued. "We are not barbarians, but we will no longer accept your authority. From this moment, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Council. We claim our independence and our right to develop without restriction." The camera view changed again, showing what appeared to be a star map. Thousands of coordinates appeared, marking locations throughout Council space, military bases, government centers, industrial facilities. These coordinates represent locations where human strike teams can teleport instantly, Minho said. "We can reach any point in Council space before you can respond. Your fleets are powerful, but they cannot protect everything at once." Minho's expression hardened. "You kept humanity small because you feared competition. You were right to fear us. But you should have feared us enough to never let us join you in the first place. Now we are here, we are free." The broadcast ended with a simple image. A human hand breaking chains against a background of stars. Across the galaxy, the message was clear. Humanity had declared independence, and they had the capability to enforce it. Unji Kang had been analyzing the captured council database for 72 hours straight. As head of Earth intelligence, she had access to information that should have taken decades to acquire. The council ambassadors' personal systems had contained more than diplomatic correspondence. They had contained the truth about how the council really operated. "You need to see this," she told President Cheon-O during an emergency briefing. The president looked exhausted, dealing with the aftermath of humanity's declaration. "The council has suppressed 36 species rebellions over the past 800 years. All of them crushed. All of them listed as extinct or integrated." "We knew the council was authoritarian," Cheon replied. "That is not the important part." Yoonji brought up files that made her sick to read. "I found hidden communications in the database archives. Messages from the suppressed species, embedded in footnotes and error logs where the council thought no one would look. They are not all extinct. Some are still out there, waiting." She showed coordinates for 17 different systems, all marked as uninhabited in council records. But the hidden messages told a different story. Species that had gone underground, literally in some cases, hiding from council surveillance and waiting for an opportunity. "They have been preparing," Unji said. "Some of them for centuries. They saw what happened to others who rebelled openly. So they pretended to surrender, while building resistance networks in secret." Cheon leaned forward. "Can we contact them?" "We can do better than contact them. We can arm them." Do-Yoon Kim and Ki-Yeon Han worked in the expanded laboratory that had taken over 3 entire sections of Lunar Station Gagarin. The successful teleportation to Mars had proven the concept worked at planetary distances. Now they pushed for more. "Quantum entanglement holds stable at 2 light-years, Ki-Yeon reported, studying the readings. "We are getting interference beyond that. But the math says we can compensate." Doyun manipulated the equations floating in holographic display before him. If we boost the magnetic containment field and use multiple entangled particles in a mesh pattern instead of single pairs, we might reach 5 light-years. Maybe 10. That is not faster than light travel, Kion pointed out. No, but it is something the Council does not have. Combined with real-time quantum communication, we can deploy assets instantly across multiple systems. We do not need to travel between stars. We just need to arrive there. They worked through the night, running simulations and refining their designs. By morning, they had achieved stable teleportation across 5 light-years in testing. It was not much compared to the galaxy's vast distances, but it was enough. Hana Lee presented the new capabilities to Fleet Admiral Seojin Ryu and the military command staff. We can now strike targets up to 5 light-years away. That gives us access to 12 systems that are home to suppressed species. Strike targets? Sojin asked carefully. Or deliver supplies? Both, Hana confirmed. Yuna Song's teams are ready to teleport to these locations with weapons, manufacturing equipment, and technical data. We give them the tools to rise up again. Taejin An, still serving as a reluctant advisor, despite his opposition to the rebellion, shook his head. You will be starting a galactic civil war. The war already exists, Hana replied. It has existed for centuries. The Council just made sure it stayed one-sided. We are evening the odds. The first contact went to the Thalen species, aquatic beings whose homeworld was 70% ocean. The Council had forbidden them from developing space-capable vessels 300 years ago, after they began expanding too quickly. The official reason was environmental concerns. The real reason, according to the captured files, was that the Thalen bred quickly and asked too many questions about Council policies. Yuna Song led the strike team that teleported directly into the underwater city of Velshorak. The Thalen Military Council had been expecting attack, not alliance. They stared at the humans in their waterproof combat suits with confusion and suspicion. We come with gifts, Yuna announced through her translator. She activated a holographic display showing manufacturing schematics, railgun designs, power generation systems, and quantum communication equipment. Everything you need to build orbital defense platforms without Council approval. The Thalen commander, whose translated name was approximately current against stone, extended a webbed hand. Why would humans help us? You are Council members. We're Council members, Yuna corrected. We declared independence 3 days ago. Now we are helping others do the same. Within a week, the Thalen had constructed their first orbital weapons platform using human railgun technology. It was crude compared to human designs, adapted for Thalen manufacturing capabilities and materials. But it worked, and more importantly, the Council's orbital surveillance never saw it being built. The components were manufactured underwater and teleported directly into orbit. Similar operations unfolded across 11 other systems. Species that the Council thought were beaten began receiving weapons, technology, and hope. Some had been waiting for centuries. Others were new to resistance. All of them shared one thing in common: hatred for their Council oppressors. Sori Lim coordinated the growing rebel alliance from a command center on Luna. She had been a diplomat before the rebellion, skilled at managing complicated relationships between different groups. Now she managed something far more difficult: keeping dozens of alien species working together, when many of them had historical conflicts with each other. The Thalen want to attack Council shipping lanes in their sector, she reported to Hana and President Cheon. The Brevok are demanding we help them strike military installations on their homeworld. The Koriks are asking for advanced weapons we have not even deployed ourselves yet. Can you keep them organized? Hana asked. For now. But they all want different things. Some want independence. Some want revenge. A few want to replace the Council with themselves in charge. We are the glue holding this alliance together, and only because we have the teleportation technology everyone needs. Cheon understood the implications immediately. The moment we lose our technological advantage, the alliance might fracture. Which is why we need to win before that happens, Hana said. Fleet Admiral Seojin Ryu prepared Earth's defense fleet to face the incoming Council 7th Fleet. Intelligence reported 3,000 Council warships approaching at maximum faster than light speed. They would arrive at Neptune's orbit in 2 days. Seojin had 200 ships. The mathematics were brutal. We cannot win a conventional battle, she told her command staff. But we do not need to. We just need to make them reconsider whether Earth is worth the cost. Jiwon Park had been working with Sojin's weapons engineers on a new system, teleportation-assisted railguns. The concept was simple, but devastating. Instead of firing projectiles across space where they could be tracked and intercepted, they fired projectiles into teleportation fields. The projectiles materialized at point-blank range inside enemy formations, bypassing shields and defensive systems entirely. We have only equipped 40 ships with the new systems, Jiwon warned. The power requirements are enormous. Each ship can fire maybe 5 shots before exhausting their capacitors. 5 shots per ship. Sojin calculated. 200 teleportation strikes total. Make every single one count. After, the Council 7th Fleet arrived at Neptune confident and ready to demonstrate overwhelming force. Admiral Corvin, the Vroxian fleet commander, had fought in 20 campaigns. He had crushed rebellions, destroyed pirate fleets, and enforced council law across dozens of systems. 3,000 ships against 200 human vessels seemed like an execution, not a battle. Maintain formation, he ordered. Advance steadily toward Earth. Target all military installations and demand immediate surrender. If they refuse, begin orbital bombardment of military facilities. The human fleet waited near Neptune's orbit, outnumbered 15-1. To Admiral Corvin, they looked like they were preparing to make a heroic last stand. Foolish, but expected, from a primitive species that did not understand the reality of interstellar warfare. Human vessels are dispersing, his tactical officer reported. They are not maintaining defensive formation. They are running, Corvin said with satisfaction. Pursue and destroy. Then space around his fleet erupted with kinetic projectiles appearing from nowhere. One moment, his sensors showed empty space. The next moment, tungsten rods traveling at relativistic speeds materialized inside his formation. Ships exploded before they could raise shields or take evasive action. The projectiles appeared too close, too fast, giving no time to react. In 30 seconds, 800 council ships were destroyed or critically damaged. What is happening? Corvin demanded, his bridge shaking from nearby explosions. Teleportation, his tactical officer reported in shock. They are teleporting projectiles directly into our formation. The second wave of strikes came before Corvin could order a retreat. Another 600 ships destroyed. The carefully organized fleet formation became chaos as ships broke away, trying to escape the impossible attack. Seojin Ryu watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Cease fire. Let them run. The Council 7th Fleet retreated to the outer solar system, having lost nearly half its ships without landing a single effective hit on the human fleet. Admiral Corvin sent an emergency message to Council High Command. The humans have weaponized teleportation. Traditional fleet tactics are obsolete against them. We cannot advance without taking unacceptable losses. But the Council's response was not retreat. It was escalation. Supreme Chancellor Vothik watched the battle reports and made a decision that would haunt the galaxy. Send a message to all Council members. The humans and their allies must see the cost of rebellion. Send the Purge fleet to the Thalen homeworld. Sterilize it from orbit. Taejin An tried to stop it. He called every Council contact he had built over 15 years, begging them to reconsider. But the decision was made. The Thalen homeworld of Thalen Prime, an ocean world that had existed peacefully for millions of years, was bombarded from orbit. The Council fleet used kinetic impactors and plasma bombs to boil the oceans and shatter the crust. 4 billion Thalen died in 6 hours. Humanity's intelligence network picked up the destruction in real time. Unji Kang watched the feeds coming from council news sources, which proudly broadcast the attack as a warning to other would-be rebels. When she showed the footage to Hana and Do-yoon, both of them stood silent for a long moment. They killed an entire world, Do-yoon said quietly. Billions of people. To make a point. They rule through fear, Hana replied, her voice cold with rage. They just showed us what we are really fighting for. Not just freedom. Survival. Minho Choi prepared another broadcast, but this time his message was different. He spoke not just to humanity, but to every species in the emerging rebel alliance, and to every species still under council control. The council has shown its true face, he said. Images of Thalen Prime's destruction playing behind him. They claim to bring order and stability. They claim to protect the galaxy. But when challenged, they commit genocide. 4 billion lives ended because the Thalen dared to build a single weapons platform. He paused, letting the horror sink in. This is what the council calls justice. This is what they call necessary action. And this is what awaits every species that questions their authority. Minho's expression hardened into something fierce. But here is what the council does not understand. Every species they terrorize becomes another species, with nothing to lose. Every world they threaten becomes another world, ready to fight. They think fear will keep us in line. Instead, they have shown us that submission and resistance lead to the same end. We might as well die free. Number 4. The message spread across the galaxy. And everywhere it went, more species began to rise. The rebellion spread like fire through dry grass. Within 1 month of the Thalen genocide, 17 species had openly declared independence from the council. Some were species that Unji Kang's intelligence had identified as secretly maintaining resistance networks. Others were complete surprises. Species that seemed content under council rule until they saw an opportunity. Hyunwoo Nam studied each species carefully. As Earth's chief xenoanthropologist, he understood that aliens were not just humans with different faces. Each species had different psychologies, different social structures, different values. What motivated one species to rebel might mean nothing to another. The Bravok are fighting for territorial expansion, he explained during a strategic briefing. They were restricted to their home system 2 centuries ago, after the council decided they were too aggressive. The Quarks want technological freedom. They are inventors, and the council's restrictions frustrated them. The Nereth are fighting for religious reasons. The council banned their faith practices. Different motivations but same enemy, Sori Lim observed. She had been managing the increasingly complex rebel alliance, trying to keep dozens of species cooperating. Can we use that? We have to, Hyunwoo replied, because the moment the council falls, these species might turn on each other, or on us. The council's military struggled against the coordinated attacks across dozens of systems. They had overwhelming force, millions of ships spread across thousands of worlds, but their forces were designed for peacekeeping and suppressing isolated uprisings, not fighting simultaneous rebellions on multiple fronts. Every time a council fleet concentrated to crush one rebellion, 3 others would flare up elsewhere. Human teleportation technology allowed rebel forces to strike without warning, resupply without being intercepted, and retreat before council reinforcements arrived. But Hyunwoo had found something potentially more valuable than any weapon. Deep in the council archives, he discovered the actual treaties and agreements that held the 5 elder species together. The council is not as unified as they appear, he told President Chaeyon. Oh, and the military command. The 5 elder species have been in a state of controlled tension for over 1,000 years. They maintain unity through complex treaties, mutual blackmail, and protocols for assured destruction if any one species tries to dominate the others. He displayed documents that told a darker story of council history, secret wars, hidden conflicts, near genocides that were covered up or reframed as natural disasters. If we can break that unity, Hyunwoo continued, the council collapses, and we do not need to destroy them. We just need to make them stop trusting each other. Jiho Kwon commanded the most dangerous mission Earth had attempted since the rebellion began. His special operations team was tasked with infiltrating the council archives on their capital world of Centrum Prime, the most heavily defended location in known space. This is insane, one of his team members muttered, as they reviewed the mission parameters. Even with teleportation, we will be materializing inside a facility with the most advanced security systems in the galaxy. Which is why we are not going in as soldiers, Jiho replied. We are going in as ghosts. The operation used a new teleportation technique that Do-yoon Kim's team had developed. Instead of materializing fully, they would exist in a quantum uncertain state for several seconds before solidifying. To security sensors, they would appear as glitches or sensor errors rather than actual intrusions. The team teleported directly into the main archive vault, bypassing every physical security measure. They had 90 seconds before the quantum uncertainty collapsed, and they became solid enough to trigger alarms. Jiho uploaded a data extraction virus that Eunji Kang had designed specifically for council systems. It copied everything about interspecies treaties, secret agreements, and historical blackmail files. The kind of information the council would never want anyone to see, let alone broadcast across the galaxy. 60 seconds, his communications officer warned. The virus worked faster than expected, copying terabytes of data through the quantum link back to Earth. Jiho watched the countdown. Earth 1. Knowing that if they were discovered, there would be no escape. The council would make an example of them. Download complete. 5 seconds to solidification. Teleport now, Jiho ordered. They materialized back on Luna just as alarms began screaming across Centrum Prime. The council knew they had been infiltrated, but by the time they understood what was taken, it was too late. Minho Choi prepared the most damaging broadcast humanity had ever made. The stolen data filled hundreds of files, each one containing secrets that the council had kept hidden for centuries. He chose the most explosive revelations carefully. People of the galaxy, he began. The council tells you they maintain order and peace. They tell you their restrictions, protect everyone. Today, we show you the truth. The first revelation was about the HFY War, a conflict 300 years ago that had killed billions on both sides. Two of the council's elder species, locked in devastating combat, until they both agreed to council mediation. Council records show this war was not natural, Minho revealed. The council's predecessor organization deliberately caused border incidents that escalated tensions. They manipulated both species into conflict, then offered themselves as neutral mediators. The war made both species dependent on council protection. He showed the actual communications, the orders to create incidents, the calculated escalation plan. The Vrith and Nulari had been played against each other. The second revelation was even worse. Over the past 1,000 years, the Council had deliberately sabotaged the development of at least 40 species, introducing diseases that seemed natural but were actually bioweapons, causing industrial accidents that set civilizations back decades, creating food shortages through manipulated climate patterns. Every time a species became too advanced, too independent, too questioning, Minho said, the Council would arrange a crisis. Then they would arrive as saviors, offering aid in exchange for accepting restrictions and oversight. The broadcasts continued for hours, revelation after revelation. By the end, the Council's carefully maintained image of benevolent leadership was shattered. On the Vrith homeworld, the Planetary Council convened in emergency session. The revelation about their war with the Nulari had sparked outrage. 300 years of hatred, of remembering the billions who died, and now they learned it was manufactured. The Council manipulated us, Chancellor Vrectus declared. They used our people as pawns in their power games. I call for immediate withdrawal from the Council and an alliance with the rebels. Similar scenes played out on the Nulari homeworld. Two species that had been bitter enemies discovered they were both victims of the same manipulation. Within days, they opened direct communication for the first time in 3 centuries. Supreme Chancellor Vothik of the Corvian species watched his carefully constructed order falling apart. The other elder species were turning on each other, each accusing the others of being responsible for the secret manipulations. Some of the accusations were true. Many were not. But it did not matter. Trust, once broken, could not be easily restored. We must make an example, he told the council. A show of force so overwhelming that all rebellion stops immediately. I propose activating the Terminus Protocol. The other council elders hesitated. The Terminus Protocol had never been used in recorded history. It called for assembling the largest fleet possible and destroying not just a rebellious species' military, but their entire homeworld. Complete extinction. The target should be obvious, Vothik continued. Earth. We destroy the human homeworld, and the rebellion collapses without its leaders. Some council members agreed. Others argued it would only make the rebellion worse. The debate raged for 3 days. Finally, they voted. 4 elder species supported the Terminus Protocol. 1 opposed it. 50,000 council warships began moving toward Earth. Every available vessel pulled from dozens of sectors. It would take them 2 weeks to assemble and travel. But once they arrived, Earth would face extinction. Unji Kang brought the intelligence to an emergency meeting. They are coming with everything. This is not about suppressing rebellion anymore. They want to erase us completely. 1. Offer Mautar. 1. How long do we have? President Cheon asked. 2 weeks. Maybe less if they push their faster-than-light engines. Fleet Admiral Seojin Ryu studied the tactical projections. We can field 8,000 ships including allied species. Against 50,000. Those are not odds. That is an execution. Then we change the game, Hana said. She turned to Do-Yoon Kim. You told me you were working on something new. Energy teleportation. Can it work? Do-Yoon looked uncomfortable. The theory is sound. We can create a quantum tunnel and push massive amounts of energy through it. But we have only run small-scale tests. Nothing like what you are suggesting. How much energy are we talking about? Cheon asked. Equivalent to a star's output, Wu Jinjiang replied. He had been working with Do-Yoon on the project. For approximately 5 seconds, we could teleport that energy directly into an enemy fleet's formation. And the downside? It will burn out our entire quantum entanglement network, Do-Yoon said. Every piece of teleportation equipment we have built. We would lose the ability to teleport anything for months. Maybe years. While we rebuild. So one shot, Seojin summarized. One massive strike that uses up our greatest advantage. Against 50,000 ships, Hana added. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Use the weapon and they might destroy the council fleet. But they would also lose the teleportation capability that had made humanity's rebellion possible. What if it is not enough? Taejin An asked. He had become more supportive of the rebellion after seeing the council's crimes, but he was still cautious. What if we use our weapon, and they still have enough ships to bombard Earth? Then we die, Hana said simply. But at least we die as free humans who fought back, not as pets who accepted their chains. President Chae-Yun-Oh looked at each person in the room. Her military commanders, her scientists, her diplomats, people who had risked everything for humanity's freedom. Begin preparations, she ordered. But we do not just build a weapon. We build a message. We show the council that some things are worth dying for. And maybe, just maybe, some of the other species will see that message and decide they are worth dying for too. Do-Yoon and Woojin returned to their laboratory to begin the most dangerous project humanity had ever attempted. They would need to channel energy equivalent to a star through quantum tunnels that had never been tested at anything close to that scale. If we make a single mistake, Woojin said quietly. We could destroy Earth ourselves, create a quantum collapse that tears apart the solar system. Then we do not make mistakes, Doyun replied. Across the galaxy, the Rebel Alliance prepared for the Council's final assault. Some species fortified their worlds. Others prepared evacuation plans. A few began negotiating secret surrenders, hoping to be spared the Council's wrath. But most stood firm. Because humanity had shown them something the Council never expected. Not just that rebellion was possible, but that it was worth it, even if it meant facing extinction. Sori Lim sent a message to every rebel species. In 2 weeks, Earth faces 50,000 Council warships. We cannot ask you to join that battle. The odds are overwhelming. But if you believe that freedom matters, if you believe that the Council's authority has ended, then stand with us. Fight with us. Die with us, if necessary. Because after Earth, they will come for each of you. The responses came slowly at first, then in a flood. Species that had been enemies for centuries agreed to fight side by side. Fleets that had never left their home systems began moving toward Earth. By the time the Council's Terminus fleet entered the solar system, they did not find 8,000 ships defending Earth. They found 40,000. Species from across the galaxy, united for the first time not by Council authority but by common cause. Each ship carried a crew that had decided some things were worth dying for. Supreme Chancellor Vothek stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How did they assemble so many ships? Our intelligence said the rebels were fractured and disorganized. They were, his tactical officer replied. Until we threatened to destroy Earth, we united them. For the first time in his long career, Vothek felt something he had not experienced in centuries: fear. The Council Terminus fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system like a dark wave. 50,000 warships. The largest military force assembled in recorded galactic history. Supreme Chancellor Vothek had spent centuries maintaining order through careful manipulation and controlled force. Now he commanded raw power, on a scale that should make any resistance meaningless. But facing him was something the Council had never seen before. 40,000 ships from dozens of species, many of whom had been enemies for generations, united not by Council authority, but by the simple desire to be free. Fleet Admiral Seojin Ryu stood on the bridge of the EDS Indomitable and watched the tactical display. The numbers still favored the Council, but less dramatically than before. She had 8,000 human ships, plus 32,000 allied vessels from 17 species. All fleet elements report ready, her communications officer announced. Allied species are maintaining formation. They are waiting for your orders. Seojin had never commanded such a diverse force. Each species had different ship designs, different weapons, different tactical doctrines. Some preferred long-range bombardment, others favored close combat. A few species did not even think in terms of traditional space warfare. Open channel to all ships, she ordered. When the connection established, she spoke carefully. We know the odds. We know what the Council intends. They come to destroy Earth and terrorize the rest of you back into submission. But today, we show them that terror has limits. Some things cannot be frightened into surrender. She paused, choosing her next words with care. Every species here has different reasons for fighting. Different goals, different cultures, different dreams of what comes after. But we share one thing. We all decided that freedom is worth the cost. Whatever happens in the next hours, the galaxy will remember that we stood together. The Council fleet is advancing, her tactical officer reported. They are moving slowly, maintaining formation. Looks like they want to demonstrate overwhelming force before demanding surrender. Let them come, Sojin said quietly. Deep inside Lunar Station Gagarin, Doyun Kim made final adjustments to equipment that should not exist according to every safety protocol ever written. The energy teleportation system filled 3 entire sections of the station. massive quantum entanglement arrays, magnetic containment fields, powerful enough to hold a star's output, and the most dangerous collection of capacitors humanity had ever constructed. Power levels at 80%, Wu Jinjiang reported. Sweat ran down his face despite the cold temperature they maintained in the lab. We can reach full charge in 10 minutes. How stable is the containment? Doyun asked. Define stable. Wu Jin managed a weak smile. The fields are holding. The quantum tunnels are formed. But Doyun, we are about to push energy equivalent to 5 seconds of solar output through a gap in space-time. Nothing about this is stable. Qi Han monitored the quantum calculations, watching for any sign of collapse. If this works, we destroy most of the Council fleet instantly. If it fails, we might create a quantum cascade that tears apart the solar system. Then it has to work, Doyun said simply. Because if we fail here, there is no second chance. Hana Li was not on Luna or aboard any ship. She had taken Yuna Song and a small strike team on one final mission. While the fleets faced each other, they had teleported directly to Centrum Prime, the Council's capital world. This is insane, one of her team members whispered, as they materialized in the shadows of the Council's government complex. We are on the most defended world in the galaxy during their largest military operation, which is why they will not expect us, Hana replied. She checked her equipment one last time. We are not here to fight. We are here to make a point. They moved through the capital using intelligence provided by species that had worked there before joining the rebellion. The Council's attention was focused on the fleet at Earth. Their homeworld security was present but not at maximum alert. Yuna led them to the Hall of Unity, the symbolic center of Council government, where the 5 elder species had first formed their alliance over 1,000 years ago. Breaking into the building was surprisingly easy. Most of the security had been stripped away and sent to defend against the rebellion. Inside the hall, Hana set up a broadcast system. When the battle begins, I want every species in the galaxy to see this, to understand what we did here. Supreme Chancellor Vothek watched the rebel fleet and felt contempt replace his earlier concern. Yes, they had assembled more ships than expected, but numbers alone did not win battles. His fleet had better weapons, better shields, better training, and most importantly, they had unity of command. The rebel fleet was a collection of different species, each with their own ideas about combat. Begin the advance, he ordered. All ships maintain formation. Target the human vessels first. Once humanity is destroyed, the rest will surrender. The Council fleet moved forward, a vast wall of warships advancing steadily. When they reached optimal weapons range, Vothik gave the order to fire. Plasma beams and energy weapons lit up space. The Council's firepower was devastating, exactly as intended. They expected the rebel fleet to either flee or die quickly. Instead, the rebel fleet scattered into multiple groups, each moving with practiced coordination. The human ships used their railgun teleportation systems, materializing kinetic projectiles at point-blank range. Allied species deployed their own weapons, adapted from human technology but modified for their unique capabilities. The Brevok used swarm tactics, hundreds of small ships, overwhelming single Council vessels. The Quarix had built experimental weapons that disrupted shield harmonics. The Nerath somehow weaponized their religious devotion, their crews fighting with a ferocity that shocked the Council forces. Within the first hour of combat, the Council had lost 5,000 ships. The rebel fleet lost 8,000. But they kept fighting with determination that went beyond military logic. They are not trying to win, Vothek's tactical officer observed. They are trying to buy time. Vothek realized the truth immediately. They are preparing something. All ships, maximum acceleration toward Earth. Whatever they are planning, we end it now. The Council fleet broke formation and rushed forward. It was tactically sound but strategically exactly what Seojin Ryu wanted. They are committed, she reported to Doyun Kim. They are moving directly into the target zone. You have 5 minutes. We need 7. Doyun replied. watching the power levels climb. The capacitors were at 95%, but pushing them faster risked catastrophic failure. "You have 5, Sojin repeated. "After that, they will be too spread out for a concentrated strike." Doyun looked at Woojin and Kiyon. Both nodded. They would push the system beyond safe limits. "Accelerating charge sequence," Doyun announced. 4 minutes to activation. The Council fleet accelerated through space, eager to end the battle and demonstrate their power. They had lost ships, but they still outnumbered the rebels. Victory was still certain. Then Hana Lee's broadcast went live from the Hall of Unity on Centrum Prime. Every screen across Council space showed her standing in the symbolic heart of their government. Behind her, the ancient treaty stones that represented the founding of the Council. "People of the galaxy," Hana began. "While your leaders send their fleets to destroy Earth, we stand here in their sacred hall. We could destroy this place. We could strike at their homeworld the way they strike at ours. But we will not, because we are not them." She gestured to the treaty stones. These stones represent promises of cooperation, mutual protection, and shared prosperity. But those promises became chains. The Council stopped serving the galaxy and started controlling it. Today, we do not destroy their symbols. We reclaim what they should have meant. Hana pulled out a simple hammer and approached the first stone. "We break the Council's authority. Not with weapons of mass destruction, but with the simple declaration that we do not accept their rule." She struck the stone, and it cracked. Symbolic, dramatic, and broadcast across every world in Council space. On the Council command ship, Vathek watched in horror. "They are on Centrum Prime. How did they get past our defenses?" "They teleported," his officer replied. "Just like they teleported past everything else." The psychological impact was devastating. The Council's own capital was compromised, while their fleet was light years away. Their absolute control was revealed as illusion. "Recall the fleet," Vathek ordered. "We must protect the homeworld, sir. We are committed to the Earth attack. If we turn back now, weth you not. They are in our capital," Vathek shouted. "Recall the fleet immediately." But before the order could be transmitted, Doyun Kim activated the energy teleportation system. Space itself seemed to scream. A quantum tunnel opened directly in the center of the Council fleet formation, and through it poured energy equivalent to 5 seconds of a star's total output. Light and heat and radiation in quantities that should not exist in normal space. The energy bloom expanded at near light speed. Council ships caught in the initial wave simply ceased to exist, vaporized instantly. Those on the periphery had seconds to raise shields or turn away. Most failed. In 15 seconds, 30,000 Council warships were destroyed. The survivors scattered in chaos. All formation and coordination lost. On lunar station Gagarin, every piece of teleportation equipment overloaded simultaneously. The quantum entanglement network that humanity had built burned out in cascading failures. Alarms screamed as systems failed across the facility. "Evacuation," Doyun ordered, helping Woojin and Kiyon toward the escape pods. The station shook as containment fields collapsed, but the weapon had worked. The Council fleet was broken. Fleet Admiral Sojin Ryu watched the tactical display and could hardly believe what she saw. The vast Council armada, the supposedly invincible force, was in full retreat. Thousands of ships fled toward the outer system, trying to escape whatever had just destroyed their fleet. "All ships, pursue but do not destroy unnecessarily," she ordered. "Let them run. Let them tell others what happened here." The Battle of Earth was over. The Council had brought their greatest force and been defeated not by superior numbers or better weapons, but by a species that refused to accept limitations. President Cheon-o broadcast from Earth to the entire galaxy. "The Council Terminus fleet came to destroy us. They failed. But this victory is not ours alone. Every species that stood with us, every ship that fought beside us, Every person who decided freedom was worth the risk. This is your victory. She paused, letting the message reach across light years. The Galactic Council's authority is ended, not because we destroyed it, but because we stopped recognizing it. From this moment forward, we propose a new way. Not a council of elder species ruling everyone else. Not restrictions based on who is older or stronger. Instead, a voluntary federation based on mutual respect and open cooperation. The proposal was simple. Any species could join. Any species could leave. Technology would be shared freely. Disputes would be mediated by chosen representatives, not imposed by ancient authorities. Member species would pledge mutual defense but maintain independence. We call it the Voluntary Federation, Keyon continued. And we invite every species to join us in building something better than what the Council offered. Not perfect, not without problems, but free. The response was not immediate. Many species hesitated, uncertain about abandoning the only galactic order they had known. But slowly, carefully, the old council structure began to fracture. The Vreeth and Nulari species were the first to join the Federation, united by their shared betrayal by the Council. Within a month, 50 species had joined. Within a year, 200. Some Council loyalists remained, mostly elder species that had benefited from the old system. They formed their own alliance, trying to maintain what authority they could, but without the unified front and enforced restrictions, they were just a few species among many. The galaxy became messier, more chaotic, more unpredictable. There were conflicts and disputes and problems that the old council would have suppressed, but there was also innovation and growth and freedom that had been impossible before. 5 years after the Battle of Earth, Captain Isul Moon commanded the FSS Discovery, humanity's first deep space exploration vessel. Her crew was half human and half representatives from a dozen other species. They were pushing into regions of space that the Council had declared forbidden, areas where they claimed dangerous or extinct species lived. "We are receiving a signal," her communications officer reported. "Origin: unknown. It is not Council standard format. Put it through," Isul ordered. The message was simple but profound. "We have been waiting. Welcome to the real galaxy." Isul felt excitement and fear in equal measure. The Council had kept species confined to known space for thousands of years, claiming they were protecting everyone from dangers beyond. Now humanity and their allies would discover what actually existed out there. "Plot a course toward the signal," she ordered, "and charge the railguns. Whatever we find, we meet it on our terms." On Earth, Doyun Kim worked with scientists from a dozen species, rebuilding the teleportation network and pushing the technology further. They were close to true faster-than-light travel now, combining human innovation with insights from species that thought about physics in completely different ways. Hana Lee had retired from military service, but remained active as a strategic advisor. She watched the news feeds, showing conflicts and cooperation across the Federation with equal interest. The galaxy was not peaceful, but it was alive in ways it had not been for centuries. "Do you think we did the right thing?" a reporter asked her during an interview. "Some species say we caused chaos, that the Council's order was better than what we have now." "The Council's order was stagnation," Hana replied. "Yes, we have chaos now. We have conflicts and problems and species that make bad decisions, but they are our decisions, our mistakes, our future, not something imposed by ancient species that forgot how to grow." "Grow," she smiled slightly. "Besides, chaos is where evolution happens. The Council tried to freeze the galaxy in place. We set it free to become whatever it can be. Crusa. 2. Crusa. 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 Crusa." Tajin On had found new purpose as a mediator between Federation members. His diplomatic skills, once used to navigate Council bureaucracy, now helped resolve disputes between species with very different cultures and goals. It was harder work than serving the council, but more meaningful. Sometimes I wonder if we were ready for this, he admitted to Minho Choi during a diplomatic conference. The responsibility of freedom is heavier than the comfort of being told what to do. Probably not ready, Minho agreed. But we never would have been ready if we waited for permission. Sometimes, you have to take freedom before you know how to handle it. The voluntary federation was not perfect. Species still fought over territory and resources. Political factions competed for influence. Some members joined and then left, finding independence preferable to any alliance. A few species tried to dominate others and had to be stopped. But technology advanced faster than it had in millennia. Species that the Council had kept primitive were developing rapidly, bringing new ideas and perspectives. Cooperation between different species led to innovations that no single civilization would have achieved alone. And everywhere, people looked to the stars with possibility instead of restriction. They could explore, create, expand, and become whatever they had the courage to pursue. Captain Isul Moon's ship pushed deeper into unknown space, following the mysterious signal. Her crew worked together smoothly, despite coming from worlds that had been isolated from each other for centuries. The Brevok engineer helped the human pilots understand exotic propulsion systems. The Thalen sensor operator shared insights about detecting anomalies in space-time. The Nereth navigator brought pattern recognition abilities that seemed almost supernatural. Signal is getting stronger, the communications officer reported. We should reach the source in 3 days. What do you think we will find? The Brevok engineer asked. Something the council did not want us to meet, Isul replied. Which probably means something interesting. She checked their weapons status out of habit. The railguns were charged and ready. The teleportation systems, rebuilt with contributions from multiple species, were operational. Whatever they found, they would face it the way humanity had faced the Council. With determination, innovation, and the absolute refusal to be limited by someone else's fear, the ship pushed forward into uncharted space. Behind them, the Voluntary Federation continued its messy, chaotic, glorious experiment in freedom. Ahead of them lay mysteries that the Council had kept hidden for thousands of years. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, other civilizations watched humanity and their allies with interest. Some with approval, some with concern. All of them understanding that the galaxy had changed fundamentally. The age of the Council was over. The age of something new, something unpredictable, something dangerous and full of potential, had begun. It was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not peace or order or security, but the possibility to become more than what others decided you should be. The freedom to reach for the stars and discover what you might find there. The courage to face the unknown without someone powerful, promising to protect you from it. And deep in the research labs on Luna, rebuilt after the Battle of Earth, Do-Yoon Kim and his international team made a breakthrough. True faster-than-light travel, stable and reproducible. They could cross the galaxy in weeks instead of years. When the announcement came, Do-Yoon thought about his grandfather's stories, about the hope humanity felt when they first met the Council, the disappointment when they realized they were joining a cage. We finally made it, Wu Jinjiang said, looking at the test results. Humanity can travel anywhere in the galaxy now. Not just humanity, Do-Yoon corrected, sharing the technical specifications with every Federation member. Everyone who wants to fly. We did not fight to make humans special. We fought to make everyone free. And across the galaxy, thousands of species received the gift of true interstellar travel, freely given without restrictions or requirements. It was the final proof that the new age was fundamentally different from the old. The Council had ruled through control. The Federation would grow through sharing. Captain Isul Moon's ship reached the source of the mysterious signal and found something that would change everything again. But that was a story for another time. For now, humanity and their allies celebrated their hard-won freedom and looked toward a future without limits. They had started with railguns, the supposedly primitive weapons that the Council dismissed. They had developed teleporters, the forbidden technology that was supposed to be impossible, and in doing so, they had erased the Council's authority across the stars. Not through conquest or domination, but through the simple demonstration that chains only hold those who accept them, and humanity, stubborn and innovative, and just a little bit crazy, had refused to accept their chains. The galaxy would never be the same.